Hello, and welcome to the Maybe I Can podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Weiss, and welcome back or welcome for the first time to the show. I appreciate you tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that no one is coming to save you. Now, that might sound a little harsh, but actually, it's the most empowering thing that you can realize. We're talking about why waiting for someone else to rescue you keeps you stuck and how learning to count on yourself can completely change your life. So, what is this no one is coming to save you? You might not even realize that you think that way. I know that I never thought like that. I mean, when I hear that sentence, it makes me think about like that I'm waiting for Superman or the knight in shining armor to gallop up to my door and take away all my troubles. Now, that would be lovely, but really, I kind of know, unfortunately, that life is not a fairy tale. So it's not like I'm actively thinking any of those things. And that might be you as well. You might be thinking, what is she talking about? So let me give you some examples and see if they resonate with you. And it might not be exactly this particular thing that I'm going to say, but, you know, try and use those as examples and see if you can think of anything in your own life similar that you're telling yourself. Okay, here we go. When I meet the right partner, then I'll finally feel whole. I have to say, I remember I was 29 years old. I was not dating anyone. And really I had one very close friend that was already married. I had two friends, close friends that weren't. So it's not like I was in some kind of rush to get married, but I always had this longing. And maybe if you're into astrology, I'm a Libra, like I need a partner that is just who I am. I like being and working with other people. And I know that I always felt, I don't want to say that I'd finally feel whole, but I don't know. Maybe that is what I was thinking. And I later learned that is definitely not the case. Okay, here's another one. Oh boy, this is another one that resonates with me. If my spouse would just change, everything would get better. How about when thinking about your career? When I get that dream job, then I'll be happy. Or if my boss would just notice my hard work, then things would improve. When I finally make more money, I'll feel secure and successful. If I win the lottery, all my problems will go away. I've definitely thought about that before. Who else has said, okay, if I win the lottery, what would I do with that money? And then in your mind, you're running through the things that you would pay off and then the money that you'd maybe give to family or to charity or what you would buy. Like, oh my gosh, I've gone through that scenario more times than I'd like to admit. If my friends were more understanding, I wouldn't feel so alone. When my parents finally support me, I'll feel confident. If I just get one big break, then everything else will fall into place. Once I lose weight, then I'll finally love myself. If you've listened to me, you know for me that I don't think I realized that I didn't love myself. I think at the time I thought once I lose weight, I really thought my life would be perfect. Like it was all my weight's fault, not mine. My weight, it was like a separate part of me. And if that would be fixed, then my life would be wonderful. When the kids are older, then I'll focus on myself. I think, boy, that is such a common one for so many women who are running in all these different directions and are caring for their kids and possibly maybe, your elderly parents and you're working and doing all the household stuff. Actually, just before it's Sunday that I'm recording this podcast, and just before I clicked record, I was vacuuming, plucking dead leaves off a plant, emptying the dishwasher, changing the laundry, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate housework. And now I totally lost my train of thought. But oh yeah, because we are so busy doing all the things, right? All the tasks that we have to do, all the things that I need to do to take care of somebody else. I had to run to the pharmacy, go to the supermarket. I just placed an order online, you know, drive a kid somewhere, whatever it is. And we think to ourselves, what choice do I have? I don't have any time. So I've just got to wait for the kids to get older. And really, we can say after the holidays, after the summer, after the new year, after my birthday, after vacation, whatever it is, that's when I'll start. If the universe would just send me a miracle, then I'll act. All these things, in a way, they're comforting because it takes the onus off of you, right? It's like, well, there's nothing I can do about any of these things right now. I have to wait until something happens or somebody does something in order to change my life. It's giving away your power, and it delays you actually taking action because you convince yourself that someone's coming to save me, some circumstance is going to change, and it's going to change everything. And so there's nothing I can do about it now until that thing happens. And that is so not the case. You know, for so long, my husband, before he passed away and before he was diagnosed with terminal blood cancer, and then he passed away 6 months later. But prior to that, years prior to that, he had a lot of medical issues and psychological issues. And I kept thinking, you know, which with each issue, illness, whatever, that really I was trying to tackle because he was not a real active participant. So I was the one making the appointments, finding the specialists, dragging him out of bed to get him there. And I would tell myself, oh, things will get better once Gary gets this under control. And if I could just get in to see if this one doctor for Gary 2 months from now, that's when things will change. And so that kept happening and happening. And really, it happened for years. And I thought, well, there's nothing I can do until he feels better. And it's my job to get him to feel better. And so I'm going to take all these steps. And that's all I focused on. I never thought that, wow, if I wanted something to change in my life, I can do it now. I don't have to wait until Gary starts to feel better. It took me a long time to realize that. It took me a very long time to realize that. And then when I did, you know, honestly, what came with it? Guilt, right? Guilt of caring for myself, especially when I had a sick husband, again, even before he was diagnosed with cancer. And I had a family and a job and employees and all the things. And, you know, how am I supposed to change my life? I didn't even know I really wanted to change my life. I mean, I guess I did. I was under so much stress and I wanted that to be relieved, but I couldn't figure out a way to relieve the stress because I kept thinking, well, the stress will get relieved when Gary is feeling better and back to himself, when I start to make more money, when, you know, same thing with me, when my kids are older, and I was just putting things off. And really what I was doing was kind of accepting the status quo, right? Telling myself this story that there was nothing that I can do. And honestly, this realization when I realized, Deb, you're lying to yourself. You're making excuses. You can't count on any of these things happening. You have to decide for yourself, what is it that you want? What do you want your life to look look like? And what can you do to move yourself in that direction? And I've said this quote before. It is one of my favorite quotes that I didn't even realize until about 5 years ago what it actually meant. And it's from Glinda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz, before Wicked, before the whole thing, when she said, "You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself." And that changed my life. When I read that quote, all the other times that I heard that quote prior, it was like, oh yeah, Dorothy, you just had to click your heels 3 times and say there's no place like home, and you'd get there, and if you knew that at the beginning, you could have gotten there at the start. We wouldn't even have the Wizard of Oz movie. And that's what I thought it meant. But it means so much more. And it's the same thing here. It's the same premise. And that's really what started me down the path of personal development and taking responsibility for my life. And since I have started to take responsibility for my life, it has changed in every way. I'm doing things I would never have imagined, just like I'm talking to you now in my wildest dreams. I never thought that would be the case. I never thought that I would write books. I never thought that I'd be standing up speaking in front of audiences. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it all happened because I realized I have to make it happen. And that's what I want for you. That is really the crux of my message, because I felt that if I was 50-something years old, fairly intelligent, and that idea never dawned on me, that there must be other people out there like myself who are thinking something has to change, and then my life will improve. Wrong. You take control right now and do something. And the best thing that you can do is take action. And it does not have to be big action. I think that's why it can be so overwhelming when you think, oh my gosh, this is what I want, but I am so far from that point. I have no idea how to even get there. So you do nothing. You're frozen. It's that first tiny action. And when you take a little action, you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. What else can I do? So let me give you, based on some of those quote unquote excuses that I gave you before, some ideas of little action that you can take. So if you're waiting for that right partner to feel whole, write down 5 things you love about yourself today, not tied to anyone else's opinion. That can be hard, but it's so empowering when you take the time to recognize all the amazing things about yourself. That, you know what, even when you have a partner, it's not going to make you feel whole. And it's taken me a lifetime to realize, no, I have to love myself. I can't truly love anyone else or be loved by anyone else until I really love myself. And so reminding yourself why you're so lovable is the first step. So write down 5 things you love about yourself today. All right, if you're waiting for that dream job to feel successful, a tiny action you could take is update your LinkedIn profile, or make a list of 3 small skills that you can start learning this week. I'm always telling my son, who's graduating from college, nowadays, just go on LinkedIn. They have all these free courses. You can go on free YouTube videos. There's so many different things that you can do to start to move you in the direction of that dream job, even though you feel like right now it's so out of reach. Just starting to do that small steps will create a feeling of momentum, and realize you don't have to wait for them to find you. You take the steps to go out and find that dream job. All right, number 3, waiting to lose weight before loving yourself. Oh boy. I could basically write another book on this topic. But I love this. One tiny action you can take is go out and buy a piece of clothing that fits and flatters you today instead of punishing yourself, thinking about those someday clothes, right? Oh, well, when I lose this much, when I'm this size, then I'll be able to wear that outfit. No, don't do that. You should feel good the way you are today. I don't care what weight it is. If you walk around when I was young and, didn't feel good about myself, all I ever wore were oversized, kind of gross sweatshirts and baggy jeans. I thought that that would like hide my body. And that was a big mistake. And I didn't feel good. I didn't feel good in those clothes. So don't wait. Go out and wear something, buy something that makes you feel great when you're wearing it. Number 4, wait for more money to feel secure. How about open a savings account and transfer just $5 into it? Even if it's just once, but even if you do that once, couldn't you eke out $5 a week to transfer into that savings account? And I know it's small in the beginning, but you know what? It adds up over time. And maybe you play a little game with yourself. All right, I did $5 this week, but you know what? Next week, I'm not going to go to Starbucks and buy that latte. I'm going to take that money and I'm going to add that to the savings. And now I'm going to put in $10 this week and next week 15 and so on and so forth. It's building the habit of taking care of your future. And it doesn't matter how small the amount is. Just the fact that you're going to get started will set you on a different trajectory. How about waiting for the perfect time after the holidays, after the kids grow up, after vacation, all of that? If that's where you're at, spend just 10 minutes today working on a personal goal, even if it's just brainstorming ideas. So whatever that is that you're waiting to do after that perfect time, sit down and what could you do to work on it, to start working on it? Even if it's brainstorming ideas, make a list. And then once you have that list, start to take those teeny actions. Make sure they're small actions that you can do. And I'm telling you, this is literally little single step, little single sprinkle at a time. This is how I changed my life, and you can absolutely do the same. Okay, so before I wrap up, I want to leave you with a mini challenge. Pick one area where you've been waiting for someone to notice you for the perfect time or conditions. Take one tiny action today. Again, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be writing down an idea, making a phone call, whatever fits where you are right now. The point is, move toward your life. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to start. So give yourself permission to start imperfectly and celebrate the small wins. You're doing it. You are doing it. You are your own greatest rescue story, and that's a beautiful thing. You've got this. And just real quick, if today's message really hits home for you, I want you to know you don't have to do it alone. I have books, a course, and I'm actually thinking about reigniting a small group coaching program to help support you even more. It was very successful in the past, and I put it on pause for a variety of reasons, but I'm feeling called to go back to that because when you're working with other people who are all trying to change their lives and you're there supporting each other, there's really nothing better to propel you to that next level so much faster than if you were doing it on your own. And so I want to be there to create that community. So if you're interested, please send me a DM on Instagram, debbie.r.weiss, or send me an email at debbie@debbierweiss.com. I'd love to hear from you and see what you think and if you're a good fit. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope this sprinkle of truth inspired you to see your own strength a little more clearly. Until next time.